Hey all, it's Brandon. I'm here on Chess Cube, going to kibitz a game between Ohjay and Earlofgodwood. Took a break from videoing this weekend, so let's get back into it. Let's see, Ohjay is rated 1850 at the moment. He's going to be playing white, and Earlofgodwood is at 1909. Let's see, so these guys are some friends of mine. Let's see, Earl is in Nebraska. He just finished his freshman year of college. He's a math major. And Ohjay, I think he's in computer science. He lives in England, and he likes soccer a lot. But we'll try to overlook that. So anyway, let's see. Tell them they can get going when they're ready. So we'll see what we get here. Earl is playing on a dial-up connection in Nebraska because apparently that's the best they have there. So he may or may not forfeit this game on time just because his computer lags so much. So we'll see what happens. So we have a king pawn opening, and we'll see what Earl decides to respond with. The Caro-Kann he's going to play. Solid, positional, fits his style well. So we have a Caro-Kann. And now Ohjay has the option of, okay, so he's playing the classical Caro-Kann defense. This is all theory so far. Knight g3 is the theory here, yep. Bishop back, h4. This is the usual theory, yep. h5. This is the Spassky variation of the classical Caro-Kann. Bishop f4. This is the most aggressive response here. White would like to trade off dark square bishops if possible and attack on the dark squares. It used to be considered too dangerous for black to castle on the king side here with this h pawn all the way pushed down the board, but I think it's not considered that any longer. Usually white also develops the bishop out here and just trades off these bishops. Yep. So now black's best to trade the bishop here, obviously. A little bit of a time edge because of Earl's bad connection. Oh, he doesn't trade the bishop. This seems like a blunder. Did he forget? It's like he forgot about his bishop. I mean, there's a free bishop here. So, yeah. So, this is very unlike him. He doesn't usually make blunders like that. He says, "Oh hey, I was sleeping." Oh, I guess it's not. I guess he gets it back. Duh. So we've got some development. Of course, now he can't castle kingside. He has to go queenside. And we'll see where Ohjay decides to put his king. Usually queen d2 is played and castle queenside for white. Black tries to make use of the d5 square and eventually looks to get the c5 push in to open things up. That's the usual plan in almost any Caro-Kann variation. Okay, so he decides on queen to d3, and we have queen check coming in. Probably see c3 or bishop back to d2, attacking the queen. Yep, he plays c3, blocking the check, supporting his pawn on d4 here as well. And usually white tries to make use of e5, the e5 square to launch an attack. So black has to be careful in the Caro-Kann and take care of this e5 square. Right now he has one piece watching it, but the bishop and the knight are both eyeing down the square e5, which is a nice point to launch an attack from. So castle's queenside, that's typical. Ohjay's still uncastled here at the moment. So we'll see where he decides to put his king. We're about even on time here. 3 minutes to... Okay, so Ohjay is leaving, dropping this knight here. Earl takes it right away. And now hits Ohjay's queen. And Ohjay has to be careful about this h-pawn now. It's attacked by the knight. He has to leave his rook here to watch that pawn. He can't really castle kingside or he drops this pawn here. So that's one of the downsides of the pawn on h5. In some cases it's a weakness, and in some cases it's a strength. It's got this knight watching it, so now Earl decides to trade off dark square bishops. Usually, oh, okay. So he blocks the trade with the knight. It's an interesting idea. So like I said, this e5 square is coming into play here. A lot of battle going on over the square. The queen, of course, is guarding the square laterally also. We might see something like knight to d7, further controlling this square. Okay, so he plays queen back. He doesn't have enough attackers to win a piece at the moment. It's attacked twice and defended twice, but there's certainly some pressure on the square. And Ohjay is still uncastled. And now he decides to castle queenside. Of course, this knight was also hitting this pawn, so that was the reason for the queen move. And now Earl has to lose the tempo, so to speak, getting this rook back, which he had to use to retake the bishop from earlier. Okay, and now we have the queen coming over to attack the g7 pawn. So he's going to have to do something about that, either rook to g8, one of the rooks to g8. Looks like one of the only moves. No, he attacks the queen and decides to leave the g7 pawn undefended. So we'll see if he has something planned, or was that maybe an oversight? Oh, okay. So Ohjay decides not to grab the pawn and instead goes for the queen defended. Okay, knight coming in to hit the rook, and also opening up an attack on the bishop. So maybe he'll get his dark square bishop trade after all. It'd be interesting to see whether or not he takes with the queen or the rook once that trade happens, or maybe even the knight. But at the moment, he has to do something about this rook here, which is being attacked by the knight. So where to put the rook is the question. Maybe g8, f8. A little bit of a time edge for Ohjay here. We have 2 minutes and 20 seconds to 1 minute and 20 seconds. And okay, so he decides to put it on e8, preparing possibly an e5 push after the bishop exchange. Okay, so Ohjay is lashing out with g4 here. And now c5 comes, a counterattack from Earl. So we'll see where this goes. I think, yeah, this looks like a relatively even game here. Ohjay does have this knight in Earl's territory, but and now he's lining up his. Oh, he's preparing to double rooks here. Okay, so he gave that rook away. He gave the exchange away. Maybe that was an oversight. It's going to come down to time here, I think. Yeah, he says why. He just hung that. And this pawn is pinned, so now he loses a pawn also. It was a nice pawn capture by Earl. This pawn here is pinned to the king since the queen is on the other side. So now he's going to grab a pawn also, and as well as the exchange. Still though, Ohjay has a slight time edge. 1 minute. Okay, now he's exchanging bishops. And then he gets his pawn back. Oh no, he doesn't, because the queen and the rook will be lined up on it. So I think he's deciding between queen takes and rook takes. Yeah, Ohjay's saying he needs to win on time. So Earl's down to 35 seconds to 1 minute and 26. So, okay, he decides to take with the rooks. The rook. Now, maybe there's a threat of pawn takes. This could get. Okay, so he's decided to sort of almost pin the rook. He's attacking the rook. Decides to go with pawn takes. Now he's threatening pawn takes, double check. King has to move, and could be mate coming if if Ohjay is not careful, this queen and this rook are very menacing to this king at the moment. Okay, so he plays a pawn push. Just, I think maybe pawn down here, and then double rooks and try to get something going with this pawn and these rooks down on the king side of the board. But he's not going to have time if he doesn't hurry. He's got 6 seconds to 58 seconds. So he gets out of the pin. Okay, knight comes in to attack the queen. That was a good move for time here. And it looks like Earl's going to lose on time in a second. Oh, he allows the fork, but it's over on time anyway. So a good game. A lot of initiative there for Earl in the last minute or so. And probably a one position in the long run, but unfortunately he lost on time. So good game played by both sides. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.